How's it going, everyone? It's that Blue Bath here, and welcome back to the channel and another car review. Now today I'm bringing back a car that I have actually already reviewed, but you guys seemed to love it when I originally reviewed it, so I'm bringing it back, and that is the Citroen C1. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So here it is, folks, the Citroen C1. Now, the first time I did a video on one of these cars, it was absolutely amazing. I had so much fun reviewing it, and you guys absolutely loved it. The support on that video was insane. It still is, to this day, one of my most popular videos. Currently sitting at, I believe it's 13,000 views, which is just crazy. I mean, thank you so much, you guys, for all of that support. But I'm here to bring you another C1. Now, the black C1 I did in that first video was a standard one, but this one, oh, it's a lot more spicier than that, because there's a few aggressive and awesome modifications on this car that make it so much different from your average C1. Now, I'm very excited to get into it, so how about we start off with the aesthetics. So starting off with the front end of the C1, and it's a very familiar sight. I mean, I actually think this is the best out of the three. And yep, you heard me correctly, there are three different models of this car. Of course, the C1, the 107, and the Toyota Aygo. Now, out of the three, I think this is the best design because it's simple, but it has enough to look really, really good. We have this nice bumper trim down here, the lights, the Citroen badge, and of course, there's a very awesome little plate as well. And if you don't know what I'm on about, if we just zoom in here, we'll see that it says Little Tykes Cozy Coupe Classic, which is definitely a unique addition to a plate, but I absolutely love it. I think it's a fantastic little modification, I guess. Well, it's definitely a change anyway, but it's one of the best for sure. Of course, there are a lot of different modifications on this car, which we'll get to in a bit, and they all have their own standout presence. But that's just a funny little addition, and I think it's great. So these cars were meant to be smooth, simple, and have just a nice little design to them. But I think Citroen did a fantastic job with the C1, especially with a few little sporty upgrades. These can look absolutely fantastic. I've seen a few C1s that have been modified to the point where they're pretty much show cars, and they can look great. They sit with other modified cars, and they definitely fit in. So all you have to do is a few little things, or even just make a clean one, and you could be sitting with the big bad boys on the stands and get just as much attention. Oh, and I've also just noticed we've got a really nice shine on this front trim here. That's definitely had a bit of back to black to it. That's got my approval, that's for sure. The headlights are also LED, which is a massive change indeed. I bet they are fantastic on the road. But yeah, in terms of the front design, it's really nice, and like I said, simple but effective, just like the rest of the car. Now, how about we move on to the side profile, because we also have something really interesting there as well. Now then, to the side profile, and I've got to admit, this does have a really nice sporty shape to it. I mean, we start with the front, coming to the roof, and then a really sharp back end. It's quite a nice hatchback shape. Now, the size of this car is sort of your average small hatchback, but it's definitely bigger than, let's say, the Up and other cars like that. But I definitely think that out of the three, and I'm going to mention this a few times, this is my favorite design. Now, you can see that there are a few, standout bits and bobs on this car that really make it pop. But the thing that pops the most is the color. Now, this is Citroen's Scarlet Red, and I definitely think this is the nicest color to have on any of the three cars. Now, of course, the red will be different for Peugeot and the Toyota, but Scarlet is the name for Citroen's red, and I just think it's so nice, especially with a bit of polish and wax in it. I bet it could look absolutely amazing. I mean, even now, when you look at it, it has that really great mirror effect to it, and in the sun, it just looks, oh wow, 11 out of 10. Now, of course, the red isn't the only thing that's standing out on this car, because we've also got some lovely white wheels on here as well, and they're also very special. Now, how about I bring you in a little bit closer to talk about why they're so special. So these wheels right here are 15-inch MX-5 wheels, and that is right, everyone, we have Mazda wheels on a Citroen. Nice. Which is a very unique combo indeed, but I think it really works. The white against the red is an absolutely great color combo, and it just works. Now, in terms of the design of the MX-5 wheel, it's great. We've got this 5-spoke design, which definitely works and suits the car. I feel like any more than that doesn't really work, because I've seen Citroen C1s in the past with multi-spokes, and I don't know, a bit 50-50 on them. I guess if the rest of the car is really good, then it can work, but it's more of a, I feel like a race car sort of style with the multi-spokes. But with these 5 spokes right here, I definitely think it works for the design and the image that the owner is going for with this car. And then white is just, oh, the cherry on top, the chef's kiss. It's just fantastic. We've also got some nice tyres, which sort of remind me of these sports tyres from Forza with the tread in them. Really, really cool indeed. So there we have it. A 15-inch Mazda MX-5 wheel finished off in gloss white is a fan-dabby doozy choice for the Citroen C1. We also do have LED side indicators here as well, which is also a great touch. And then we can see the LED headlight as well from the side. So great little setup here in terms of wheels. Now, this car has actually had an interesting history of wheels, because it's also had Steelies. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm an advocate for Steelies. I love them. I think they work on any car, especially classic ones like Mark 1 and 2 Golfs. They just always suit them, and they suit these as well. I don't think there's a car where Steelies look bad on. I mean, I've never seen one anyway. They just always look superb. So this had Steelies on before, and I don't know which one I prefer. I think I love them both. Now, the later models, I think, also have Steelies, because most of the C1s throughout the generations have had steel wheels with wheel trims on the top. You can get quite a lot of different designs for the trims, though, which all look really, really nice depending on the spec that you get. And I always think they look fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a nice wheel trim, and of course, there's nothing wrong with a Steely. But I believe there was a point in time where the C1 received an alloy wheel. So you can buy a factory alloy wheel for these as well, but I think this is the way to go, especially with a Steely as well. So how about we hop up and get to the rest of the side? Just finishing off the side profile here, we have this nice black trim on the door here, which matches with the black wing mirror. In gloss back too, I think that is a really nice choice, especially with the black pillar too, and that very interesting window design at the rear there. Gives it a bit of character, I suppose, and a bit of flavour. I really like it indeed. But yeah, really nice side profile, simple but effective. I really like clean builds, and this is definitely one of them. So now here we are at the rear end of the C1, and there is a lot to look at. Mainly this awesome spoiler that sits on top of the car. And one thing I really do like about this is that it's got quite a bit of shape to it. It's not just your average, basic, boring, bland spoiler. It does have a nice style, and it really does suit the back of this car. Now, this is actually a spoiler that you can get on some of the models, though primarily you do see them on 107s. I haven't seen them on a Citroen C1 at all, and I think I've only seen one on an Igo, so I'm not sure which one comes with it as from factory, but I know that you can get them on some of them if you hunt for it. Now, if you remember to the original C1 review, my friend and I installed a black lip spoiler to the top of his, which looks really, really cool indeed, and we got that off a red 107 and painted it black. But in terms of the spoiler designs, I think this is the best one to go for, because it gives the most aggression and definitely stands out more than the other spoilers that are available. We also have this quite big glass panel here, which is actually the boot. So a very interesting design, actually, that this whole panel is just fully glass, but I think it looks really, really cool. Now, to open the boot itself, we just press this little button here and then just bring this up to reveal another just crazy addition to this car, and that is the 2 massive subs that are installed into the parcel shelf. So there we have it, subs in a C1. Who ever thought we'd see the day, but there we are. Now, I bet these sound absolutely fantastic, and they do actually, because I have heard these before, and they are phenomenal. Now, even with the subs in the boot, we still have tons of space in the boot itself. So I imagine if you need to get something large in here, you definitely have a good chance of getting it in, because there's quite a lot of space and capacity. Very spacious indeed. And well, the whole point of this car is to be user-friendly and practical, which it definitely is. And hey, it's good to know that even if you have subs in the boot, you still have quite a lot of space. We can also see that we have the badges on the right here. I see a lot of them debadged actually, which do look quite good, but we have the C1 and then the VTR badge and a little Monster Energy sticker as well. So you can get a few different models. I believe there's a Vibe model, the VTR, and then the VTR Plus. I don't think the Plus has much more than the VTR, but one thing that does have over the VTR is that down there, the twin exit exhaust system, which is definitely a crazy addition to this car. Just like the subs, it's very unique to see that on a car like this, and it sounds pretty fantastic too, especially for a 1 litre. It sounds really good. You'd think it's like a 1.6 4-cylinder or something. It's not bad at all, and we'll get to some sound clips in a little bit. We also have this nice black trim here which matches the colour of the wing, and of course the cozy coupe Little Tykes classic plate as well, which is just so sick. I love that so much. But yeah, I suppose it's also great to replace this exhaust because the original one is a little bit weak, especially with the age of the car. They can get a bit brittle and just want to fall off at any given moment. So you get to reinforce all the brackets and holders and stuff like that, and also get a pretty sick system. And so with all that being said and done, let's move to the interior. So sat in the interior of the Citroen C1, and one thing that is very surprising about these cars is the amount of space you have in here. When I was sat in the black one ages ago, I was shocked with how spacious it is. Just like the boot, there is tons of room in here, and I'm very comfy. I'm 6 foot, and I still have tons of headroom, so it's very shocking just how much space there is in the driver's seat. I mean, I'm sat quite far back, but I'm very happy with the driving position. I can still reach my arms out and my feet can reach the pedals really well. So you can get quite a nice position in this seat. But let's talk about the steering wheel and a few other bits as well. So we have this really nice leather design to it, which looks really cool. Separates it from this design in the middle of the steering wheel with a nice silver Citroen badge. And of course, it does feel really nice. The materials are quite soft in a way, not uncomfortable or weird to handle. And I think it's fantastic. It's a nice basic design, but enough to make you go, oh, that's quite nice. So in front of us here is probably the most interesting part about the interior, and that is the instrument cluster or the gauges. Now, usually you would have the RPM and speed on the same gauge, but this one actually separates it into two. So we have the miles per hour in front of us with a smaller digital screen on the right side, and then the RPM is displayed on a separate gauge above the miles per hour, which is very interesting indeed, actually. It sort of reminds me of the left-hand drive turbo gauges in a bath. I really do like it. I think it's so cool to see that, and I've been fooled for years by that RPM because I actually always thought it was a turbo gauge. I mean, little old 16-year-old me thought, whoa, these cars have a turbo. They got a turbo gauge. Look at that. That's so awesome. But It's actually RPM, but still cool. I really do like that design, and it's funky, unique. That's what this car's all about. But driver friendly as well. That's the focus for this car too. I mean, it's meant to be a starter car, so everything's meant to be simple and friendly for the driver, and it does just that. Coming to the dash now as well, we have this kind of cool design to it, which sort of reminds me of carbon fiber. And if we take a listen, that's quite solid material. Of course, it is plastic, but it's not hollow and it doesn't feel cheap, which is great. I mean, that's fantastic for a car of this caliber to have solid materials on the interior. And coming to the center console, we do have this dash that sticks out quite a bit, but you don't have to reach too far to, do the controls or anything like that. The AC is in the middle and everything is very user-friendly. And one thing, though, that is a problem with these cars is the hazard light button. That seems to be quite fragile and does crack quite easily. So if you do find yourself in that situation, all you have to do is just find a replacement button, and there you go. All good. I don't know if there's like upgraded buttons out there to make it a bit stronger, but these do seem to be a bit weak. So just, I guess, go easy with it, I suppose, and then it should be fine. But it is just age, guys. That's all it is. Because the age of the car, some bits will start to go a bit funky, but that's fine. It happens in any car. But this one seems to be all right, actually, and in really good condition. So, top notch. As for the rest of the dash, we do have this really cool Sony radio that's been put in here, which is a nice addition. I imagine that sounds great along with those, well, quite big subs in the back. I imagine that's a great combo for music, and I bet you can jam out to some tunes in here while you're driving along. So not only do you have the exhaust back there, you also have some banging radio setup in here as well to listen to. The vents are also quite interesting too. They have a design that I haven't seen in many cars. They've sort of got this separate circular ball inside of the casing, which looks quite good actually. Along with the Mercedes vents, they also look great. So very cool indeed. I really do admit that this is a nice design. The door card also has a really nice styling to it as well, with red across the top here to make it just a little bit more colourful and pop. We do have a bit of grey plastic as well, which is fine. I think that looks all right. And we do actually have some carbon fibre on the door card over there as well, just on a little trim piece. I'll show you that in the edits, but that looks great as well. And probably the coolest part in here is the gear stick. As we can see, it's quite long, but also very practical, as you don't have to reach too far down to change gears. And it's finished off in this nice red metallic color, which looks really, really good in my opinion. I think it really suits the interior of this car, and the gearbox feels really, really nice. It's quite short throwing in a way, it feels to me. Yeah, that's sort of like a short shifter. Very intriguing indeed. But it's not fighting you or anything. A lot of these smaller cars do tend to fight you when you change the gears, but this one, no issue at all. Really, really good. Now, this is a 5-speed box, so just like the Abarth, it might be a little bit screamy on the motorway, but apart from that, around town, it's all you need, really. 6th gear is fantastic, but to have a 5th gear in one of these cars is also great as well. Now, I can see the bonnet release, which we will be getting to in a second. So just quickly talking about these seats as well, they do combine style with aggression and sportiness as well. They have sort of a bucket-like appearance, and on the actual seat itself, we do have this split design of nice stripy colours, and then the red stitching down the middle as well to give it that sporty vibe. In terms of how comfy they are, 10 out of 10. The best seats I've sat in a while. You could definitely do quite a long drive in this and not get any backache. In terms of the bolsters, I'm quite snug actually. They fit me quite well, and although they're not like a proper bucket seat, I imagine they hold you in quite well, going around corners and stuff like that, so not too bad. Though, I mean, I guess Citroen didn't really design this car to go around a corner at 110, but how about get to the engine now, because that is what I really want to talk about to you guys, and something I actually left out in the original video. So let's get to it. So here we are in the engine bay of the Citroen C1. And like I mentioned on the first video that I did of this car, I didn't actually review the engine. So I apologize to you guys for not doing that, but here we are now. So in terms of what this car has, it has a 1-litre 3-cylinder, which is actually all right for a city car because you don't really need tons of horsepower and a massive engine for a car like this. And especially if you're using it every day just to go from here to there, or if you need to go on a motorway trip, this will suffice. It does well. It doesn't do too badly in terms of MPG and everything as well. I mean, paired with a 5-speed box, I think that's an all right combination for a car of this caliber. Now, in terms of power and everything like that, I'm not actually too sure. I'll have to ask Fiona about that one, and then I'll put some text at the top. Originally, though, I believe these cars come with around 60 to 70 horsepower, which, like I said, for a city car isn't too bad at all. It's naturally aspirated, so no turbo, but imagine what these cars would be like with a turbo. I bet that would be a riot. I've been in this car before on a little drive, and it does move. It actually feels really, really good. It's not slow. It doesn't take a while to get up to speed. It's actually really, really great. So it's actually quite a smart engine bay as well. It's not too cluttered. Everything is where it needs to be. Like the battery's here, the engine itself is there. You've got coolant and engine oil over there as well. So it's very practical and user-friendly, that's for sure. And you'll hear me say that quite a lot in this video because that's what this car's meant to be. Now, there's a lot of space to work on this engine as well. And like the Abarth, which is actually a bigger car, of course we do have a bigger engine in the Abarth, so there isn't much space at all, but you can get your hand here and there and wherever you need to be. So kudos to Citroen for actually making a decent engine bay. So in terms of MPG, I believe these can get around 40 to 50, which is decent. I mean, you can save a lot of fuel by just cruising around, and even on motorway trips, I imagine that's plenty as well. So in terms of fuel, 10 out of 10. So of course, no car review video isn't finished without a sound clip. So I hope you guys enjoy, because this sounds pretty awesome. Oh, what do you think? I think that sounds great.
Right.
And so everyone, that is everything for today's video, and that is the review for the modified Citroen C1 in Scarlet Red. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I definitely did. I mean, I just absolutely love these unique little hatchbacks. They're practical and just awesome at the same time, especially when people mod them and put some awesome bits and bobs on it. It just gets so much better. Now, if you guys have a C1, 107 or Igo you would like to have on the channel, then please feel free to message me, get in contact, and we could definitely sort something out, because I love reviewing these things. They never get old or boring. But if you would like to see any more videos on any more cars, whether it be another one of these, or just anything at all, Cadwell Park, car modifications, anything like that, then you guys know what to do. Hit that bell, like, comment, and subscribe, because it's always appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the future. Have a good one.